As I've been saying in class, our goal this year is to really read. Normally in high school English, it's a process where I, the teacher, assign a number of texts. I ask you to read them. Then you might, with some, you might not with others, and we enter into this kind of like spiral where we suspect each other, or we're at each other's throats over this whole process. I might quiz you, you might feel threatened, I might grade you, you think that I look down on you if you didn't do the reading, if you didn't answer my questions correctly. And I want to kind of break out of that. My goal isn't that you just read one or two or three or four or five books that I assign. My goal is that you read, that this is a part of your life. And before we get into this kind of scenario where I'm constantly questioning whether or not you did the reading, right? Whether or not you did what you're supposed to do, or whether you're trying to trick me with book notes and summaries. Let's pull back and talk about where, and how and when and what we can do to really read, to become readers. So I have this excerpt from Benjamin Franklin's autobiography that I think is helpful, and I think can kind of put us in the right mind frame. He has this great part of the book where he talks about his attempt to find order, and he organizes every hour of the day according to a plan. So it's like he wants to wake up in the morning and think, what good will I do to this on this day? And go to bed thinking, what good have I done? And he divides up all his time in between. So breakfast, think about what he's going to do that day, make a resolution, then work from 8 to 12, then 12 to 2, eat lunch, read, look over his stuff, then work again from 2 to 6, then dinner, entertainment, think about the day, then he goes to sleep. And this is simple, it's clear, it's organized, but if you read on in the book, it doesn't quite work, as he says. So this is his whole reflection on his attempt to perfect himself. And at the bottom here, he starts talking about his order plan. So that's the schedule of hours we just looked at. He says, my scheme of order gave me the most trouble. And if you read carefully here, he's saying that it could be done. So if he had a business that would leave him the disposition of his time, meaning if it was just him to his own devices, he only had his own time to deal with, then it was workable. It could happen. But it wasn't really possible to be someone who had to mix with the world. So when he had to interact with other people, then this stopped working because it would get in the way with his plan for his hours, which, when you think about it, you should really interact with other people. So then if you keep reading, it says down here, in truth, I found myself incorrigible with respect to order. And now I'm grown old and my memory bad, I feel very sensibly the want of it. He wishes this worked out. It didn't. He's old now, it didn't work out. But on the whole, though I never arrived at the perfection I had been so ambitious of obtaining, but fell far short of it, I was, by the endeavor, a better and happier man than I otherwise should have been had I not attempted it. So he didn't do it. He couldn't get this done the way he wanted. But in not doing it over and over again, he was better than he would have been had he never tried to do it. Okay, so that leads us to our aim for today, which is related to reading, obviously, but we're using Ben Franklin to get us there. So what we're going to do is what Franklin didn't do. Make a plan, and we're going to stick to it. And then we're also going to be aware that we're also not going to do what he did. So we're going to do what he didn't do and also not do what he did. What does that mean? So we need to think of it in this sense. Always believe you can do it. Always believe you are doing it, while also recognizing that you're not going to be able to do it. And in keeping those two things in mind at the same time, we're going to be better off than if we had not tried this. What does this mean? It's okay to fail. I always thought about this, even though I keep saying the word try. I keep thinking of this Star Wars thing, and I'll frequently reference Star Wars. There's a famous scene where Yoda says to Luke, who Luke has just said, I'll try to do this thing you want me to do. And Yoda says, don't try. You can either do it or you can't do it. Don't say try to me. I always thought that was kind of harsh of Yoda. But in another movie, later on, when Luke's an old man and Yoda's coming back to talk to him about, what it's like now for Luke to be the teacher, Yoda says to Luke, you've got to teach everything you've learned, teach all the things that make you strong, that made you master everything you've mastered, but you also have to teach your own weakness, and especially your failures. That's the most important thing, is to teach failure. And what this means is, in here, he's not saying that it's not okay to fail. What he's saying is, don't say to me that you're going to try. What I take that to mean is, whenever we say, fine, I'll try, all right, I'll try, there's a kind of fear of failure embedded in that, and we're kind of coping with that. And a lot of times when we say, all right, I'll give it a try, what we really are saying is, well, I know I probably can't do it, so I'll try, and it'll be okay. But it gives off the sense of, but I don't really care if I don't do it, so I'm not going to try my hardest, I'm not going to give it my all, because it probably won't work. And that's somehow embedded in that work. And this is in contrast to embracing failure, to saying, like, I am going to do this. And if I don't do it, I'm going to learn from what I don't do. Okay? That it's okay to fail at something, to not accomplish what you plan to accomplish. The failure is an accomplishment. It's better to view it that way than to say, well, there's no harm in trying. So, we're going to make a plan to read a lot. We're going to accomplish the plan, or we're going to fail. When we fail, we're going to learn from the failure. Then we're going to retool the plan. Then we're going to keep accomplishing the plan. Then we might fail again, and then we're going to keep going. But the failure is part of the accomplishment. It's not a detraction from it. So we're going to avoid guilt, because there's always guilt in English classes about reading. I don't want that this year. I want to get that out of there. I want to be honest and figure out a healthy, useful way to do something that we should agree is healthy, which is reading a lot every day. That's our goal. It's not healthy to keep viewing failure as a character failure, when what we can do is just, set our minds to really recognize it as an opportunity. All right. What I want you to do then is work on a few things in class on Monday. First, create your own Benjamin Franklin plan. Now, you can incorporate whatever you want. Like, if you want to, add music or diversion or conversation. If you'd like to begin with a question and end with a question, you do whatever you want. All I want in your plan is reading. So for me, you should make a plan for reading every day. If you want to add other life stuff to it, go ahead. You can do that on Monday. Then talk to others about your plan. Share ideas. You might get good ideas from other people. Then for the rest of the time in class, I want you to get some books and speed date. You could bring books from home that you've always wanted to read that are related to your group's topic. You could go to the library during class, whatever you want. But I want you to not just grab a book and start reading. I want you to grab a few books. And when I say speed date, what I'm saying is read a few pages of each of them and see if you click with it. If you start a book that you're not really clicking with, then our whole plan right off the bat is going to fail quickly. Like, we want to try and at least give ourselves the best possible chance at success. So read a few books and then look at all of them and be like, all right, that one I think I could see myself doing every day. Here's an example of what a plan might look like, though, because you might be thinking about, different ways you can organize it. So the most obvious thing to do is read a certain amount of pages every day. Maybe you're going to read, your goal is to read 100 pages per week, so that, comes out to more than 10 a day, right? So 100 divided by 7 is 14.2, so 15 pages a day. That'll get you 100 pages a week. But maybe that feels kind of cheap to you, and you're not really going to ever finish a book if a lot of your books are larger. So you might want to mix it up where you're doing like 10 pages one day, a chapter another day, 10 pages, then a chapter, then 2 chapters, then 20 pages. Know that you can push yourselves on weekends. The point of putting chapters in is sometimes chapters are longer than 10 pages. Sometimes they're shorter, so it might, equal out. But this is a creative way of doing it that mixes it up for you each day, and that might make you more successful. Or you could just do, I'm going to read a book every 2 weeks, and I'll divide up the chapters each day to get that done. Like, you do whatever you want, but I want a daily plan. And I think you can also incorporate, where do you read? When do you read? What are the conditions you need to read? Be as specific as you can to make sure that you get this done. And then when you don't get it done, don't beat yourself up over it, but keep retooling. And let's try. I'm not going to say try. And let's do it, and then not do it, and then do it, and then not do it, and do it, and then not do it, over and over and over and over again, and see where we are after a little while.